They always operate in bad faith, but they try to take advantage of the niceties of society. So like somebody that is like, hiding their power level is always going to thrive because there are people, they're like the centrists or people like Saf, I guess, that will defend these people and go like, well, hold on, you don't truly know that he's a Nazi, because they're hoping that somebody like that is massively giving them the benefit of the doubt. So it can be really hard to attack these people publicly, because then you always have the appearance of being an extremist, even though somebody could be pretty blatant about it. So for instance, somebody like Nicholas Fuentes, he hides his power level constantly.
Irony is so important for giving a lot of cover and plausible deniability for our views. That's what these people don't understand. What is required is somebody who is tactical with their language. Tactical, okay? But you also can't I also think you really can't tell the truth if you adhere to that. So it's sort of like getting in the middle. It's being provocative. It's being... I can't explain this in a very explicit way. You're going to have to just sort of get what I'm saying here. When it comes to a lot of these issues, you need a little bit of maneuverability that irony gives you. Irony is a very important linguistic and rhetorical weapon so that we can be subversive. And that is what they don't understand. We are dissidents. And as dissidents, they want to crush our ideas, our modes of communication, our organizing, our networking. That is why we must subvert those rules. We must be tactical. I use sardonic humor to convey a point subversively. I have never, I do actually, literally on my show say, just kidding, that's a joke, whatever. But the point is made, but the point is delivered. It's all a joke, brah.
Nick is obviously very interested in continuing this subversive, irony-laden rhetoric to further his political agenda. However, we are starting to see just how deep the fracture lines go among the far-right groyper movement.
I think the problem that we have is when it becomes sort of a gatekeeping of the narrative. And it seemed like with American Virtue especially, it was like, we can maybe kind of talk about race, we maybe start to get further right-wing on these issues, and we can kind of try to get up to the line, but don't talk about the Jewish stuff.
Pine Sap, an ardent Nick Fuentes supporter, believes that figures like Doyle are not properly advocating for nationalist beliefs, specifically the Jewish question. Doyle is more interested in pragmatically obscuring his beliefs for political ends.
I don't think that it's impossible to achieve political victories on these issues without, naming them, as they say.
So my question then is, at what point do we have a problem with mentioning these issues versus not mentioning these issues to take a political tact?
Any issue that you can think of, there is a way to frame it in a way that's not going to give our base cold feet. I think Tucker Carlson's a great example of this. I just saw him speak recently in Fort Worth, and he gave a speech about the Great Replacement, which is that's crazy that we're talking about that in 2024.
Absolutely.
But every 5 seconds, he would take a moment to be like, and it's not about race. It's just because they're different. It's whatever. And so it's you're kind of giving them this permission, people that are your donors, your audience, to be like, oh, wait, I'm afraid of being called racist. So I think when you give our people who we need to be on board with this permission to, dismiss accusations of bigotry or being a Nazi or being whatever, they are more willing to go along with your ideas. And what I see is even when groypers, for example, get involved in politics, I notice all of a sudden, when they're not on their Anon accounts, and I'm not counter-signaling being anonymous, by the way. I myself have Anon accounts, which, by the way, a lot of groypers follow. So even if you hate this John Doyle, I think it is true that you tend to kind of put a lot of that away, and you start to realize how politics actually works, and you present yourself in a much more pragmatic way.
Doyle makes it clear that at the end of the day, he agrees with Pine Sap. He mentions that he has anonymous accounts that many groypers follow. However, it's just not enough in Pine Sap's vision for proper political strategy.
Bluntly put, if you're unwilling to talk about the Jewish question at this point, especially with what's going on with Israel-Palestine currently, the conflict over Gaza, you're not serious about politics.
So how can liberals take advantage of this emerging discord among groypers and the alt-right more broadly? The strategy is to get illiberals to own their beliefs publicly.
You make the weak claim that is like everybody believes in it, but then like the strong claim goes unsaid, and that's usually what people are upset about. Which you can argue is good or bad, but
so
at least like
let me
own
just,
up, like man up and own your positions. Don't like say the most milquetoast, like obviously true things ever, and leave all the controversy, behind you. That's weak. Make the Muslims in the call answer. Suleiman, Sneeko, and Myron. Nick said he would never allow any Muslim in this country to hold public office. You're chill with that? You like that version of Nick's America?
Better than go right back to the Bible. I think
You'd rather live in a Christian theocracy where Muslims aren't even allowed to hold office than you would in a secular democracy where Muslims can hold office?
Why are we subjected to this
interrogation? What is the point
do you understand how it goes from, he's not.
Yeah, I know you're mad because you just want to fucking yap and preach. No, you're not. The question wasn't even directed to you. Let's take a answer at home.
This approach not only sows division, but also undermines the collective efficacy of such movements. As they become embroiled in internal conflicts over ideological purity, their capacity to project a unified front and attract broader support diminishes. Ultimately, forcing illiberals to confront and purity test one another can weaken their political movements, making them less coherent and less capable of sustaining long-term influence.